Why does she do it? Why does she question your plans, poke at your confidence, or even create chaos when everything seems fine? Most men think women test them because they're difficult, but the truth is deeper and darker. Machiavelli understood human nature better than anyone. In The Prince, he said, "Men are driven by two things, fear and desire. And women, they instinctively test men to see which one drives you." 1. The instinct behind the test. Female testing isn't random. It's not personal. It's evolutionary. For thousands of years, women relied on their ability to select the strongest, most capable partners to survive and protect their offspring. Today, we call it fitness testing, but it's hardwired into human psychology. When she challenges you, interrupts you, flirts with another guy in front of you, or pushes your emotional buttons, she's subconsciously asking, are you grounded or are you pretending? If you break under pressure, she knows your strength was fragile. If you remain calm, she relaxes because she's found something rare, a man who doesn't fold when tested. 2. Machiavelli's law of power. Machiavelli taught that perceived strength is as important as actual strength. Women intuitively live by this rule. When she pushes you, she isn't looking for perfection. She's searching for certainty. If your energy collapses under criticism, if you get defensive when she doubts you, if you beg for reassurance when she withdraws, she reads it as weakness, even if you're otherwise a good man. Why? Because uncertainty creates instability. And deep down, women seek emotional safety, not endless reassurance. 3. The trap most men fall into. Most men fail these tests because they misinterpret them as attacks. They get reactive, angry, defensive. This signals exactly what she feared, that your confidence is surface level, dependent on her approval. Here's the uncomfortable truth. A man who needs validation fails the test before it begins. Women are drawn to men who lead themselves, men who don't break under emotional volatility or manipulation, intentional or not. In the next part, we'll break down the 3 most common tests women use, why they happen, and how Machiavelli's principles give you an unfair advantage in passing them. If Part 1 exposed the why, this part uncovers the how. Women rarely test you directly. Their methods are subtle, often unconscious, and almost always emotional. Machiavelli would call them probes of power, ways to see where you stand without saying it outright. Here are the 3 most common tests women use, how to recognize them, and exactly how to pass them without losing your frame. 1. The emotional storm test. Can you handle my chaos? This is one of the oldest and most instinctive tests. She might pick a fight over something small. She might criticize you in front of friends. She might swing from affection to coldness without warning. At its core, she's not trying to hurt you. She's testing your emotional stability. Machiavelli wrote, "He who cannot govern himself cannot govern others." If you can't manage your own emotions under pressure, how can you lead a life, a family, or a relationship? How to pass. Stay calm. Don't mirror her chaos. Don't explain endlessly. Over-justification signals weakness. Lead with certainty. Set boundaries without aggression. When you stay centered, you demonstrate something rare. True control over yourself. That control creates attraction at a primal level. 2. The comparison test. Are you confident enough to stand alone? She might mention another guy's success. She might bring up an ex, or she might subtly highlight your competition. Most men fail here because they get defensive, jealous, or try to prove themselves. But this is exactly what Machiavelli warns against. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. She's testing whether you compare yourself to others or whether you're rooted in your own value. How to pass. Stay unmoved. Respond casually, not reactively. Project abundance. Subtly communicate, "I'm not competing, I choose." Redirect with certainty. Switch the frame back to your reality. The man who knows his worth doesn't need to argue for it. 3. The withdrawal test. Will you chase me? This one's deadly because it triggers your instincts. She suddenly goes cold, replies late, or seems distant. Most men panic and overcompensate. They send long texts, plan surprises, and desperately try to fix her mood. But understand this, withdrawal is often a subconscious probe. She wants to see whether your strength depends on her attention. How to pass. Match her energy. If she pulls back, maintain your rhythm. Focus on your mission. Don't make her the center of your world. Re-engage on your terms. When you act from abundance, you reverse the dynamic. Machiavelli's timeless lesson applies here. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. This doesn't mean being cruel. It means being respected enough that she knows distance won't control you. In Part 3, we'll explore why women test endlessly, why these trials never stop, and how Machiavelli's philosophy reveals the psychological game behind it all. If you've ever thought, when does this end? The answer is simple, it doesn't. Women will test you for as long as they're attracted to you. And if they stop testing you, it often means they've emotionally checked out. This isn't manipulation. It's biological psychology, and Machiavelli understood it long before modern science could explain it. The evolutionary logic. For most of human history, a woman's survival and the survival of her children depended on choosing a man strong enough to lead, protect, and provide. She couldn't afford to guess. Her instincts evolved to constantly measure your value through subtle trials. Even in modern life, where survival is no longer at stake, those ancient instincts remain wired into her behavior. She doesn't consciously think, let me test him. Her biology does it for her. Machiavelli would call this the silent battlefield. Men are driven by necessity, and those who cannot defend their position will always be replaced. Every test is her way of asking, are you as strong as I believe? Are you consistent, or are you pretending? Do you deserve the role of leader in my world? Masculine energy is earned, not claimed. Here's the brutal truth most men don't want to hear. You cannot convince a woman of your value. You can only prove it through your actions, consistency, and presence. Men fail when they try to negotiate respect instead of embodying it. They talk endlessly, argue, and justify themselves, but Machiavelli warns us. Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. A woman's tests are designed to expose who you really are when the mask comes off. If your strength is fake, if your confidence is an act, the cracks will eventually show. The endless trial of frame. Your frame, your emotional state, boundaries, and sense of direction is always under pressure. Women test it not because they're cruel, but because they want to feel safe in your stability. When she gets dramatic, can you stay grounded? When she challenges your decisions, can you stay decisive? When life gets chaotic, do you hold the center? If you lose your frame, you lose respect. If you lose respect, attraction dies. And once attraction dies, the relationship becomes fragile. Why this is good news. At first, this may sound exhausting, but there's power here if you shift your perspective. Instead of seeing tests as attacks, view them as opportunities to sharpen your masculinity. Every time you pass, you reaffirm two things. To her, that you're a man worth trusting. To yourself, that your strength isn't dependent on external validation. This is why Machiavelli believed true power comes from inner sovereignty. When you stop needing her approval, paradoxically, you gain more of her respect and attraction. In Part 4, we'll dive into the deadly mistakes most men make when they fail these tests, and how you can avoid falling into the traps that destroy attraction. Most men fail these tests, not because they're weak, but because they don't understand the game they're playing. Machiavelli warned that power is lost when you fail to control perception and emotion. Women test you to measure your strength, but when you react poorly, you send a loud message that you don't have any. These mistakes kill attraction faster than anything else. Let's break down the biggest traps. Mistake number 1, overreacting and losing your cool. A woman makes a sarcastic comment, ignores your text, or challenges your opinion, and you explode. You lecture. You argue. You raise your voice. The moment you lose control of yourself, you lose power. Machiavelli puts it simply, he who cannot control himself will be controlled by others. When you overreact, you prove you're emotionally fragile, and fragility kills polarity. Mistake number 2, begging for approval. When faced with a test, many men try to win her back by chasing her validation. Why are you upset? What did I do wrong? Please believe me, I didn't mean it. Are you mad at me? This desperation flips the dynamic. The more you seek her reassurance, the more she questions your competence. Remember this rule. The one seeking approval holds less power. Passing tests isn't about proving your worth, it's about standing firm in it. Mistake number 3, becoming passive and avoiding conflict. On the other side, some men avoid tests by withdrawing completely. They stay silent, hide their opinions, and let her lead, thinking this will create harmony. It doesn't. Machiavelli warned that it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. This doesn't mean ruling through fear. It means projecting strength. When you constantly compromise your values just to keep peace, she stops respecting you. And without respect, attraction dies. Mistake number 4, over-explaining and justifying yourself. A classic sign of weakness is talking too much. When tested, weak men go into long explanations, trying to convince her they're right. But every extra word erodes your frame. Powerful men don't justify, they lead. Machiavelli's insight applies perfectly here. Men judge more with their eyes than with their hands. In other words, she watches your actions, not your excuses. Your energy communicates more than your words ever will. How to pass these tests without trying. Here's the secret. The goal isn't to win. The goal is to remain unaffected. True strength is calmness, silence, composure. If she teases you, smile and shrug. If she challenges you, hold your ground respectfully. If she pushes boundaries, enforce yours without apology. Power isn't loud. It's rooted, steady, unshakable. When you stop chasing her approval, you force her instincts to recognize your value automatically. In Part 5, we'll break down the Machiavellian strategy for mastering your frame permanently, so you don't just pass women's tests but command lasting respect and attraction without effort. By now, you've seen why women test men and how most guys fail without even realizing it. But if you want to flip the game entirely, where tests stop feeling threatening and start working in your favor, you need to adopt a Machiavellian mindset. Machiavelli's philosophy isn't about manipulation for its own sake. It's about control. Control over perception, control over emotion, and above all, control over yourself. Step 1. Master your emotional state. The foundation of power is emotional stability. Machiavelli said, "The first method for estimating a ruler's intelligence is to look at the men around him." For you, those men are your emotions. If you're surrounded by chaos, insecurity, anger, fear, you'll make desperate, weak choices. But when you rule your inner kingdom, you project unshakable dominance. Practical takeaway: stop overreacting. Slow your breath, ground your body, observe before acting. Never reveal panic or neediness. Composure creates mystery, mystery creates attraction. Treat emotional spikes like weather. They pass if you don't feed them. Step 2. Hold the frame always. The frame is your reality. Whoever holds it leads. Women test your frame constantly, not because they want to destroy it, but because they want to trust it. When you crumble, they sense weakness. When you stay rooted, they relax into your strength. How to hold the frame. Speak slowly. Pause often. Silence signals power. Lead decisions. Know where you're going. Never explain yourself endlessly. If you said it, it's enough. A man who commands his own reality becomes magnetic. He's not trying to impress, he is impressive. Step 3, develop selective detachment. Here's the paradox. The less you need someone, the more they value you. Machiavelli wrote, "He who depends on others perishes." If you're emotionally dependent on validation, you'll keep failing tests. But when you embrace detachment, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability creates tension, the oxygen of attraction. Detachment isn't coldness, it's quiet confidence. It's saying, I choose you because I want you, not because I need you. When you move from a place of abundance, her subconscious registers one thing: this man has options, and instinctively, she invests more. Step 4, redefine power as calm authority. Too many men mistake dominance for aggression. They believe power comes from being louder, harsher, or more controlling. But Machiavelli teaches the opposite. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. Be both. The fox, strategic, aware, patient. The lion, bold, decisive, unstoppable when action is required. Calm authority attracts tests but passes them effortlessly. You stop reacting. You stop defending. You become untouchable. Step 5, the shift that changes everything. The moment you stop seeing women's tests as attacks and start viewing them as invitations, the dynamic flips. These challenges aren't designed to destroy you. They're designed to reveal you. Every test is an opportunity to demonstrate that you're a man of depth, presence, and grounded power. Fail them, and you collapse into chaos. Pass them, and you step into magnetic dominance. This is Machiavelli's hidden lesson. Power is never demanded, it's demonstrated.